Have you ever found yourself waiting for an elevator, compulsively pressing the illuminated call button? We all have, but when the elevator finally arrives and the doors open, you might feel a satisfying surge of triumph. After all, didn't you make it happen? Our mental lives are paved with cognitive biases, yet one towers above the rest: the illusion of control. This is the belief that we can influence outcomes, even when they're purely left to chance. It's the conviction behind that lucky parking spot, or the idea that your rituals can affect the outcome of a sports game. This need for perceived control is woven into the fabric of our everyday lives. Consider board games. You've likely blown on dice to summon a favorable roll or cast them with a particular force, hoping to nudge fate in your favor. Social psychologist Ellen Langer observed that we tend to overestimate our control over events when they seem to involve skill. She called these indicators skill cues, signs that the task at hand isn't entirely random. Take lotteries, for example. Given the choice, would you prefer a random ticket or to pick your own? Though the odds of winning remain unchanged, many would choose to pick, feeling it offers them a sense of control. When direct control is beyond our grasp, we often turn to what's known as a control proxy. This could be a good luck charm, a shirt we deem lucky for important events, or even a patron saint whose intercession we seek. These proxies are tools through which we try to exert control over chance. We need the illusion of control because acknowledging the randomness in our lives can be overwhelming. In psychology, a sense of control is closely linked to mental well-being. It makes us more optimistic and resilient, but a skewed perception can lead us toward unrealistic expectations and risky choices. We'll explore this topic further in an upcoming video. In childhood, the illusion of control is potent. Younger minds have a strong inclination towards magical thinking, believing they have more control than reality permits, a key stage in developing a balanced sense of control. As we age, this perception often gradually diminishes as we learn the distinction between what we can and cannot control. The illusion of control can be beneficial to our well-being if kept in check. Excessive or insufficient perceived control can lead to psychological distress. So remember, understanding where your influence ends and accepting life's unpredictability helps make sounder decisions and lessens anxiety over the uncontrollable. In the late 1960s, psychologists Martin Seligman and Stephen Meyer conducted a seminal series of experiments. They exposed dogs to scenarios where they had no control over unpleasant stimuli. Initially, these dogs were harnessed and subjected to mild electric shocks. While some could terminate the shock by pressing a button with their nose, others had no such option. Subsequently, these dogs were placed in a shuttle box where they could evade shocks by leaping over a barrier. The dogs that previously had the option to stop the shock swiftly learned to jump the barrier to avoid discomfort. In contrast, those who learned their actions were futile in the harness scenario did not try to escape in the shuttle box. They had learned a state of helplessness. Seligman's work indicates that feelings of powerlessness and resignation can arise when one perceives their actions as ineffective, potentially leading to depression and other mental health challenges. This sense of helplessness can emerge from significant life events or accumulate from daily frustrations. For example, research has shown that children who experience poverty before age 9 and are exposed to social and familial risk factors such as domestic violence are more prone to develop learned helplessness later in life. This phenomenon, particularly among battered women, is linked to increased depression and post-traumatic stress disorder. This brings us to the heart of our matter. How do we cope when we feel we've lost control? Seligman and Meyer revised their theory, now suggesting that it's not the absence but the presence of control that is crucial. The passivity and anxiety experienced after uncontrollable stress are innate reactions. The crucial lesson is realizing that some life aspects are within our control. Acknowledging your control can transform your mental well-being. While we can't dictate every aspect of our lives, we can influence our responses and choices. Cognitive behavioral therapy and other strategies can help reframe negative thought patterns and restore a sense of agency. Beyond therapy, daily practices like setting achievable goals, mindfulness meditation, and adopting a positive perspective can also help us regain control. Please note that this video is for educational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional advice. If you are struggling, please seek help from a qualified professional. You've likely heard of the marshmallow test by Walter Mischel. In this test, young children were presented with a marshmallow and promised another if they refrained from eating the first one for 15 minutes. Left alone with the temptation, not every child succeeded. The duration they resisted serves as an indicator of their self-control. The longer they waited, the greater their self-control. The marshmallow test isn't just a playful challenge. It touches on a crucial skill that can forecast future success. Studies have found that higher self-control in early childhood is linked to better health and greater wealth in adulthood. But what exactly is self-control? It's the capacity to suppress immediate desires. It's an integral part of the self-regulatory system that regulate our impulses, thoughts, and emotions. This regulation is governed by what psychologists term executive functions, a suite of cognitive processes that orchestrate nearly every facet of our mental activities. Some researchers describe self-control using the term ego depletion. Introduced in the 1990s by Roy Baumeister and his colleagues, this concept describes self-control as a limited mental resource, like a muscle that tires with use. The more it's exercised, the more depleted it becomes, challenging your resistance to temptation. Ever tried sticking to a diet, maintaining a workout routine, or developing a new hobby? You've likely noticed these commitments often weaken after a hard day or during stressful times. Why? Because intense labor, tension, and stress are notorious for draining this precious resource. Then, when time finally permits activities that benefit your well-being, you no longer have the energy to pursue them. After all, lounging on the couch is much easier, requires no effort. So, how do we sustain robust self-control? Well, some studies suggest that glucose can replenish drained resources, while other studies highlight the protective effects of positive emotions or exposure to nature. However, these solutions have faced criticism, and there is no universally accepted solution. If you find yourself drained and lacking willpower, try to take it easy. Take a leisurely walk outside, engage in meditation, or enjoy some lemonade. It might not recharge your mental energy, but it can alleviate your stress. Have you ever considered how our lives would be if we didn't regulate our emotions? Without this capability, anger and impulsivity would dominate, trust and relationships would crumble, and violence would escalate. By mastering our emotions, we enable civilization itself. This skill lets us act with consideration, make ethical choices, and uphold the social norms that prevent us from harming each other. But what is emotion regulation, and how do we practice it? Emotion regulation is our capacity to withhold, moderate, and reassess our feelings and emotional responses to suit the situation at hand. Take, for example, how you express emotions differently with friends, family, co-workers, and your boss. When angered by a friend, you're likely to show it, but with your boss, you probably hold back. We use two main types of strategies to regulate our emotions: antecedent-focused and response-focused. Response-focused strategies, such as suppression, happen after emotions emerge. Here you actively restrain your emotional expression, though it can be mentally taxing. While sometimes effective, this can lead to increased physiological stress. In contrast, antecedent-focused strategies like cognitive reappraisal happen before an emotional reaction is fully expressed. You shift your perspective on the emotion-triggering situation, separating it from its emotional charge. For instance, encountering an indifferent cashier could provoke irritation. However, instead of reacting with anger, which likely won't yield the results you want, you might consider that they aren't acting with malice, they're just doing their job. It might not solve the immediate issue, but it will save you from the mental strain and negative interaction that could overshadow your day. Failures in emotion regulation often stem from dependence on maladaptive strategies. Excessive suppression, avoidance, or rumination can lead to emotional dysregulation, affecting our mental health and interpersonal relationships. Adaptive regulation of our emotions starts with awareness. Mindfulness and cognitive behavioral techniques aid us in recognizing and altering our emotional habits. In fact, some scholars suggest that mindfulness isn't just a way to foster adaptive emotion regulation techniques. It is an emotion regulation technique in itself. The more you practice mindfulness, the more habitual it becomes to decenter yourself from intense emotional experiences. Remember, regulating emotions isn't about suppressing what you feel. It's about comprehending your emotions and responding to them in ways that are both healthy and constructive. Have you ever found yourself engaged in a pointless argument on social media, or perhaps you've posted something very personal or offensive, actions unlikely in face-to-face interactions? If so, it appears you've experienced how technology impacts your self-control. But before we begin, please subscribe to our channel and like this video to support our growth. In the digital era, the illusion of control over social media and technology is common. While we may believe we control our online personas, a significant role is often played by algorithms and external factors. Let's talk about cyberbullying. A 2022 study by the Pew Research Center revealed that nearly 60% of teens have faced cyberbullying. Victims may experience a loss of control as harmful content spreads, impacting their mental health and leading to anxiety, depression, and even self-harm. Whether you've left a mean and cynical comment online or are repeatedly harassing others on social media, these actions likely stem from reduced self-control. The online world reduces our inhibitions through the online disinhibition effect. The internet fosters emotional distance and a sense of anonymity, making hurtful, impulsive actions more likely. Excessive internet use can impair sleep quality, causing mental fatigue that cloud our judgment. Algorithms designed to maximize engagement can lead us to scroll endlessly and pointlessly, leaving us with depleted mental resources. Internet addiction further exemplifies this struggle. It is a compulsive behavior where control feels minimal and the need to stay connected overtakes other priorities, leading to harmful lifestyle changes. Studies show similarities between the brain activity of those addicted to the internet and substance addicts. Likes, shares, and comments trigger dopamine releases, reinforcing the cycle and stripping away the willpower to stop. Despite these challenges, technology also provides tools to regain control. Digital time management and wellness apps offer structured environments for better life management. For instance, mindfulness apps can reduce loneliness, and cognitive training apps have been shown to enhance self-control. In conclusion, while technology can disrupt our sense of control, it also offers the means to reclaim it. Mindful usage and recognizing the dual nature of our digital tools are key. So notice if boredom or stress drives you to your phone. If so, take breaks, disable notifications, and make time for those you love in person. After all, nothing can replace face-to-face interactions. Thank you for watching our video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. For more content like this, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Noticed a mistake or have a brilliant suggestion for our upcoming videos? We'd love to hear from you in the comments below.